Joining me now to discuss the U.S. designation or redesignation of Nigeria as a country of particular concern, examining the federal government's response, and explore Nigeria's diplomatic options moving forward is John James Usanga. He's the former Nigerian ambassador to Guinea-Bissau with concurrent accreditation to Cape Verde, as well as the deputy spokesperson of the League of African Ambassadors. He's joined by Dr. Adoyi Omale, International Affairs Analyst. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being on Newsnight.
Thank you for having me.
Well, let me begin with you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Great Ambassador. I'd like to begin with you, Dr. Omale. You've been following the developing situation. Donald Trump is doubling down from a redesignation to guns a-blazing, either by boots on the ground or by airstrike. We've also seen responses from the Nigerian government. What's your take so far on the situation?
Well, my take is that Nigeria, like we just heard from the Minister of Information, Nigeria is a sovereign country, and any attempt to invade or send military force to attack Nigeria will be an act of aggression. But that is not to say that the international community is wrong in trying to point out what they perceive as a problem in any sovereign country. Like I always say, the international community has the responsibility to respond when things are not going right, especially on serious allegations of genocide and terrorist activity. Terrorism is a global phenomenon, and terrorists anywhere in the world is a threat to global peace. I think on that ground, the Americans have made it very clear that they will not allow terrorists to continue to occupy the space in Nigeria. And to be very frank, there are lots of killings going on in the country. I must say that. And nobody is holding this current government responsible for it. It has been happening for quite some time. And the only thing is that the response, our capacity to deal with the terrorism, to deal with the insecurity in the country has not yielded enough results, and that is why everybody is worried. We want a situation whereby the country is safe for everybody, where we can travel without fear, where we can communities can live in peace. We hear farmers herders clashes, we hear bandits and all kinds of things, and they have taken over all the forests, all the bushes, and the killing is amazing, and something has to be done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ambassador, I mean, we've heard again from the Nigerian government in the person of the Minister of Information and National Orientation saying the country has opened diplomatic channels with Washington and other allies. You served as an ambassador. How would you rate the response so far by Nigeria? And how do you even respond to a situation like this diplomatically without being dismissive and defensive, particularly when lives are involved?
Thank you very much. And so far, the steps taken by the federal government are steps in the right direction. When tensions escalate, the first thing you do is to try to de-escalate it. At this point, for me, it's not just enough to respond through press statements. I think Nigeria is blessed with high-profile individuals that are well-known all over the world and well-respected that could be deployed as emissaries to de-escalate the tension that is building up between Nigeria and the USA. These emissaries are supposed to go first to, if you like, wet the ground for diplomatic engagements at high level. But the steps taken so far, they are steps in the right direction. But I think we should go further by showing to the U.S. government that Nigeria is serious about addressing the matters that concern them or the matters that they have raised, which has led their president to threaten to invade Nigeria. But the thing is this, the accusation or the perception of America of Nigerian Christians being singled out for elimination or extermination, as if you like, if it is based on security report, it should give cause for concern. But if it's based on information that flows around, people just assume things that, okay, this is what is happening because there are killings, then it behoves the government to try to explain the situation as it is to the United States government, to give them some comfort that this is not happening. Because whether we like it or not, there are killings happening, and these killings didn't happen today. And whether killings have happened among the Christians, among the Muslims, among villagers. So like I said, if the United States government feels that or is based the allegation on information supplied to them by security information, then it gives cause for concern. But what we need to do right now is to send a powerful emissary, first and foremost, not just to issue statements that everything is good, we are giving you assurances. We need to deploy what we have to de-escalate the tension first by sending these emissaries to the U.S. government authorities to engage in a discussion that will explain the situation to them, as it were. Because we are here, we know exactly what is going on. And we are saying Nigerian Christians are not being singled out. There's terrorism, there's banditry all over the place.
Okay.
So we need to, first of all, engage these individuals that are well respected and they have access, access to the United States government authorities to first of all, de-escalate the tension, and then we embark on diplomatic engagements.
Great.
I think that's the way I would think we should go.
Thank you, Ambassador. I hear both of you agree that killings have been ongoing for a while. And you also talk about perception. Dr. Omale, let me come back to you. You use the word particularly perception. So if this is about perception, do you then agree with those who say this is not even about faith? It is about how minorities in general are treated in Nigeria and the lack of justice when these killings happen. So how much of injustice is feeding this perception of existential threat to the Christians? What do you say to those people? I mean, how do you address this?
Well, I am from Benue State, for example, and Agatu is crying. People have been murdered in cold blood, all in the name of somebody taking cattle into their farm. When you complain, it brings out AK-47, bring out dagger, and stab you and kill you. We had cases of Gideon Akaluka in Kanu, who was beheaded and paraded on the streets of Kanu. We had Deborah Samuel, a student, an innocent student of College of Education Sokoto, who was stoned to death and killed, and several other examples. So let us not throw away the baby and the bathwater. Despite the fact that Nigeria is a sovereign country, it behoves on our government to ensure that all lives are protected. That is the justice that we are talking about. Plateau, they have been demonstrating because of the incessant killings. Benue, they have been demonstrating because they are almost helpless. The Bishop of Makurdi Diocese have to go as far to the United Nations to explain, the Catholic Bishop of Makurdi Diocese to explain what the people are going through. The whole of Bue West in Benue State has been occupied by some terrorists in the bushes. So it's a very serious issue that let us not downplay it by saying that justice or injustice is not going on. I'm so emotional about this issue because it pains me that people are being killed in hundreds.
Yes, but isn't that the question, that the lack of justice for the victims has enabled these killings, which the Nigerian government is saying is not targeted at any faith, but to the US president, it is targeted against Christians. But the bottom line is, when these acts are perpetrated, is there justice? I mean, you are from the region.
Yes.
Have you seen justice, and what does justice look like?
No.
And how much of that would correct this narrative of perception of, Christian genocide?
The first thing is to arrest those who are perpetrating this genocide. They are in camps, which I believe the security agencies know. At a point, the Totiv, the Catholic bishop, they said that some of the camps are in Nasarawa State. Others say the camps, so they are in the bush. Why can these people not be rounded up and tried? That is the justice that we are talking about. Why can they not be flushed out? Why must they be allowed to exist and be unleashing this type of mayhem on innocent people?
Okay.
You are traveling on the road, the whole bus will be hijacked on the way, and people have to cough out ransom, and it's a very serious issue.
Indeed. Ambassador, let me come back to you. We are now hearing from China. China is backing Nigeria on this and condemns Trump's threat to interfere in Nigeria's internal affairs. How does that news come to you? And does it risk putting Nigeria in a situation of them versus us in the space of geopolitics, where you have US, China?
Yeah, diplomacy is the engine that drives international relations. And everything about diplomacy and international relations is about interest. At this point in time, China is trying to demonstrate to Nigeria that it's a strong ally of Nigeria. Yes, there's a question of sovereignty. Of course, sovereignty is recognized in international law as the supreme power of a state to do what it likes within its territorial boundaries. But there are times when sovereignty is ceded, because when you belong to an organization, for instance, multilateral organization like the UN, or you have bilateral relationships, it means that you have ceded part of your country to comply with the agreements and the treaties that bind the operations of that either organization or bilateral relationship that you have. So it's not entirely something that you are pushing that, okay, it's a sovereign nation. It should be of concern to all parties concerned that people are being killed. And let me tell you this, we are looking at the religious angle and the ethnicity angle in this whole thing. We are forgetting that this thing is also indicative of people taking territories, dislodging people from their lands and taking over their lands, either for whatever reason. So we should focus more on what is not too obvious than what would divide us, and then see how we can, eliminate this problem. The fight against terrorism, banditry, is not a regular war. Nigeria is very competent when it comes to regular war. We've gone to deliver some countries out of problems, regular military problems. I'm not a military personnel. But this war is not a war that you can really pinpoint to a position, or this one's declaring, and this is this, and this is this. No, this is a war that people just come, guerrilla war, strike, and disappear. If you have to try to eliminate these people, you have to take into consideration the collateral damage that could result, because these people also mingle with the general population. Are you going to take out the whole population because you want to fish out the terrorists? Which is what I think the idea that President Trump is, cooking. So, but that being said, it's not a question of grandstanding at this point in time. The United States remains a strong ally of Nigeria. In as much as China will want to demonstrate its alliance with Nigeria as a strong partner, we also have to play they play a diplomatic role and create room for other people to play with us. It's not just about me and them. It's about all of us working together for the furtherance of the good. You bring value, I bring value, and the society moves on. That's the way I look at this whole issue. Right. It's not about religion.
Okay. Thank you very much. A fine place to leave it. John James Usanga is a former Nigerian ambassador to Guinea-Bissau with concurrent accreditation to Cape Verde, as well as being the deputy spokesperson, League of African Ambassadors. Thank you so much for being on Newsnight tonight. We do appreciate your time. And Dr. Adoyi Omale, International Affairs Analyst, thank you for your thoughts.
Thank you.